Ladies and gentlemen, All Saints Catholic Church in Dallas, Texas welcomes you to All Saints Coffee Chats. And we are live. Hi, how's it going? Thanks for joining us for episode 64 of Coffee Chats. I am using several keyboards at the same time, but and a mouse, so we're going to figure this out. But thanks for joining us. Is that in anybody's way? I'm going to do that.
That'll work.
Cool. So thanks for joining me, guys. Today we have with us Nathan Rice, Ashley Pinson, and Caroline Mulry. They are some of our soon or ex-seniors in high school, and you guys were all at Steubenville. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for joining me today. Glad y'all are here. How's the summer been? Y'all been able to do anything fun?
I went to Disney World. Sorry. I went to Disney World. That was my biggest thing, I guess.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
I got to go to the Pines Catholic camp, and then also I worked at a summer camp for a few weeks. So it's been fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Nathan?
Lots of frisbee.
Lots of frisbee.
Lots of frisbee.
Good.
But yeah.
I'm going to make sure this is good. So that's good. I'm glad to hear that. So something we tend to do on the show that I definitely did not warn you about is we ask if you have any favorite saints or current saints that are sticking out to you in some way. So if anybody has something, we'd like to go first and spare the others. That would be great. But anybody have a particularly favorite saint or somebody right now?
Sure. You mentioned we all went to Steubenville, and one of our little inside jokes on Steubenville was what was the name of our musical? Our theoretical musical we came up with.
Yeah. Was it
Athanasius.
Yeah,
Athanasius. There we
the
go.
Musical. Yes.
Athanasius the
That's
musical.
right.
And Athanasius actually wrote a biography. It's not an autobiography because somebody else wrote it. It's a biography. That's what that is.
That's how that.
It's
works
been too long since middle school English. That's
okay.
But over the life of Saint Anthony of the Desert, Saint Anthony the Great. There's a bunch of different names, but yeah, he's been really sticking out to me recently since he was mentioned actually in confession at Steubenville.
Wow.
That's where I kind of got down that track.
Yeah.
But he has a really cool story of basically being a hermit and living in the desert. And he only left the desert one time, and that was to go to Greece, just argue with some heretic, and then he came back just a hermit forever. Apparently he was illiterate. I don't know how the debate went, but apparently, we read about him, so it must have gone pretty well.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. So Saint Athanasius, but also Saint Anthony.
Yeah.
But the musical.
The musical.
The musical.
The musical, for sure.
That's amazing. How about you guys?
I'm going to have to go with my confirmation saint, St. Elizabeth of Hungary. She's really been sticking out to me lately regarding the miracles that happened to her. And one of them is called the Miracle of the Roses, and she was taking bread out of, I guess, the palace because she was royal, and her husband was trying to throw off people that were accusing her of stealing, and so he said, "Show me what's in your basket," and she ended up doing it, and it was an image of roses, and it was a bright multicolored roses, and I think that's so cool, and she used where she was to help others, and I think that's really interesting, something that we can do in our lives, and that's kind of something that I've been trying to do. Going out to serve people based on what we have, where we are.
Yeah, that's really cool. Caroline, anybody in particular that's sticking out to you?
A saint who's been kind of showing up all over the place this summer for me would be Saint Therese of Lisieux. There have been several places I've gone or groups I've gone with where they're our patron saint for the week is Saint Therese. It's just funny that she keeps showing up, but just knowing the small acts of love and kindness, and just perseverance through hard times, has been a big theme this summer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. I had a couple of times in college when Saint Therese in particular would kind of show up. And sneaky like that. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, that's very cool. And I've been thinking about Saint Ignatius of Loyola. He's the Yeah. Because you went to Jesuit.
Yes, naturally.
At least a little bit. I did not set this up properly. That's okay. I'll do who I am. That's okay. Yeah, his feast day is on Saturday, I think, the 31st or something. I don't know. It was some Saturday recently or coming up. And he's such a cool saint. He's one of Paul's favorite saints, so I'm happy to steal that while he is out of town. And he's wearing. I don't have my Ignatius of Loyola socks, but he does. So if he were here, I guess he'd be wearing those.
If you were here,
but
does he have a cannonball on him?
I don't know.
You got to get like knee-high socks that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, with the little straps. Yeah, absolutely. You might as well go all the way. Yeah, so it's just such a cool saint. We talked about him on the show before, but he was just. Just a really cool dude. Totally turned his life around after realizing everything he ever wanted was not what he wanted, and was actually wanting to be a saint, and then he did it. And we've talked other times with the show of like his roommates in college or if it was seminary. I don't know how that worked, but it was like Francis Xavier and Peter.
I believe it was college because they didn't let him become a priest until he had.
That's right.
Been educated.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So but those three guys, as they were preparing, or they were in college, like they all are saints, and they all founded the Jesuit order. Just like that's some cool friendship going on there. Good for those
the
roommates.
Original fraternity.
Absolutely.
Some
Yeah,
good roommates.
Exactly. Yeah. Pick your roommates wisely, I guess, or not. But yeah.
You could found a religious order or something.
Yeah. Maybe you'll just be a saint. Yeah. Based on your, I'm thinking of my previous roommates, and I don't know about that, but that's okay. No, they're all good guys. Also, our other question that we tend to go back to is: do you have any particular favorite scripture verses or favorites at the moment? You don't need to know like the chapter verse, of course, because I never do, so that's fine. But anything in particular that's been sticking out to you recently, or like your kind of favorite verse?
One for me that's been sticking out is Joshua 1:9, and it's do not be afraid. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid nor discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And I think that's really cool. Like just kind of thinking about it, like we, as much as we like can be afraid at times, like God is with us no matter like whether we're thinking about it or not. And I think that's really cool how he reassures Joshua when he's in times of stress, and he says it multiple times also in that like book, like in the very beginning, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome, Caroline. Yeah, maybe.
My regular favorite is just the last verse in Matthew, where Jesus is leaving and he's like, "But know that I will be with you always until the end of the age." I think it was last week on Sunday though. The second reading was like a letter to the Ephesians, I think. I don't know. I really liked that reading.
Sorry. Yeah, that's awesome. I can never keep track of where things are either, so that's perfect. Anything in particular?
This past Sunday we had the loaves and fishes, which I'm always very partial to, because I like food, and having plenty of food is always fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was like specifically kind of the part where, all the remnants are gathered up, and there's more remnants than there were to begin with, which is kind of like there's the implausibility or the impossibility side of things there, that just kind of says like, hey, I guess it's just Jesus and God saying like, hey, I'm God, I can do basically whatever.
Yeah. In case you were wondering.
I can do
this.
It's just a little bit of a flex.
Oh yeah, a lot of bit of a flex for sure. It's like I mentioned this in our video that's coming out. Is it this weekend or last weekend? But like with the miracle at Cana too. He's like turning the water into wine. Like that's already ridiculous, but like it's also good wine. Yeah. Not only can I do this,
you get this whole thing about like, hey, come follow me. I'll make you like a fisherman. Like that's his sales pitch, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then I don't know. Like if somebody come up to me and was like, hey, I'm gonna like teach you to fish for people, I'd be like, I don't know, man. But if you said you get infinite food, I'm gonna turn water into water, like all these things, right? Like.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah. Like you might also have to be a martyr, but also in the meantime, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's going to be even better.
I feel like there's some like some big things that are kind of left out, but yeah. Hey, that makes it all the more special that people actually.
Yeah, one step at a time.
Exactly.
It's good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. No, I was thinking. I think it was that same gospel reading from I guess last week, where Jesus multiplies loaves and fishes, and then they say at the end it's like, and then they all wanted to make him a king, and so he just like disappeared from their presence. And there's a couple other times when that happens.
Is it something about like retreating to the mountain or something?
Yeah. But like even before that, it's just like, and so he just like left. And there's another time when I think it's after he is in Nazareth and nobody likes him because he's in his hometown. It's like he passed through their midst like unnoticed. So,
there's like some like mob or something.
Yeah.
And
so he just like, I imagine him just like turning invisible and just like, all right guys, I'm gonna go, and like
it's the Simpsons thing where it just like fades back.
Yeah,
into
exactly. Something like that. I don't know, and like I guess those are weird moments where Jesus is almost like disappointed or something, but it's just maybe not disappointed in both cases, but I don't know. It's just interesting thing to kind of throw in there. The gospel writers are like, also by the way,
he left.
He just left.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just need to leave.
Yeah. You like the Scooby-Doo style image with like the hallway and running out all the different doors, right?
That's exactly.
They go into one door and pop out the end of the hall. Yeah, there's some mob chasing him, right?
Oh my gosh.
King, be our king.
Like, no, please
no,
absolutely not.
Can you go talk to the friends in Nazareth? Because they don't agree.
Yeah.
They're not. Y'all aren't on the same page.
Yeah. You guys talk to balance it out.
I also think it's weird how, like, on that point, how sometimes he's too popular to go places, and sometimes he's just, like, completely unnoticed. I think that's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's, like, such a huge contrast for, like you said, the gospel writers to even notice.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, there's a couple times they've even mentioned, like, he was so popular now that he could no longer enter town, or whatever it was. And yeah, it's kind of, we're watching. We have to mention The Chosen because it's this show, even if Paul's not here. But
even if Paul or Chelsea mentioned it too.
Of course. Yeah, I haven't seen all the second season, so I don't know if it changes. But the episodes I have seen, every episode there's a little bit more of that, and they're showing like when he's totally nobody at the beginning versus when he starts doing things, and the crowds get bigger, and they're like, we have to get out of here because this is ridiculous. So yeah, it's kind of cool. But here we go. So also, thank you guys for sharing that. That's cool. One of the main reasons I wanted to bring you guys here, other than just y'all are cool and I want to talk with y'all, was beyond that, is just to kind of ask you guys a little bit about, talk about high school ministry and Steubenville in particular. I know you guys, it's been a couple of weeks now, but just some of the things that have been helpful there. Also, you guys are going off to college. I think I put that under your names. Did I do that? Okay, well I put...
Maybe not.
I think so. Wait, where's...
Are we doing...
I think I put next year. Yeah, okay, I did. So, as you can all see out there in the real world...
way off in the distance.
The imaginary folks outside.
Will we pass the two portable suns?
This is basically Star Wars.
Welcome to Tatooine.
We have Baby Yoda.
We have. That's true. Yeah, this is going well.
Sorry,
we have
I
real
derailed the conversation.
No, that's perfect. That's exactly where it was supposed to go.
Okay.
This is coffee chats, not like coffee lectures. I don't know.
Interview.
Yeah.
Coffee class.
Coffee class. We should do that just 1 week.
Ashley Pinsent majoring in coffee.
But so yeah, you guys are going off to college. How is that going? How has that process been for you guys? Just, are you ready? Are you packed?
Weird, interesting. It's definitely going to be a change. It's kind of like starting to become real. Like the closer we get to it, the closer we get to like the first person leaving, it's kind of hitting all of us, or at least me, definitely hitting me. But I'm excited. I think it's going to be really fun. I think it's going to be a cool opportunity to meet new people, to get to know like people at Baylor and like the Catholic community there, and I think that's going to be really awesome. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Nice. Very cool. How about you?
I hit a point a few weeks ago where somebody was, I saw somebody for the first time since graduation,
okay.
And they were like, "Congratulations!" I was like, "For what?" And because I had gotten out of the mode, and I looked at the calendar and realized that I was like time-wise, I was closer to actually moving in and like moving out of Dallas, moving into my dorm than I was like past graduation. So like getting past that like halfway point was kind of spooky a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I move in on the 23rd of August, and that kind of kicks off all of the, there's like an incoming freshman retreat at St. Mary's that I'll be a part of, and then some other stuff.
Very cool.
But yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, there's so many. I've heard so much about St. Mary's, and I remember I toured Baylor when I was looking at colleges, and actually went to the Catholic Center. And it was very. I didn't get like the whole experience, but it sounds very cool. So it's. We can come back to that in a little bit. But Caroline, you're coming up on your senior year.
Yes.
At Pierce.
Yes.
All right. Are you ready for that?
Not really.
Perfect.
But we will see.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, it's senior year is a good year. I remember. So speaking of which, how was? I wanted to ask. Catherine is asking 1,000 questions, which is perfect. Thank you so much. You're my favorite. Actually, it's only been like
here so I can
2 questions. Oh, hey. Stars. Hey, Christina, how's it going?
St. Mary's is awesome.
Yeah.
Heard it here first.
She can
Well, probably not. You've probably heard it before.
But in case you
just
haven't.
to reiterate.
Band and the Chosen, we have to talk about it at some point. So, Catherine asked about why is Illuminate awesome? So, you guys have been involved with the high school ministry, actually for not quite as long, but at least the last semester or so of your senior year here, and you guys for a while, which is great.
I'm not that old, Andrew.
I mean, I've been here for even longer, so you're good.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, you left and came back. So
That's true. I guess it probably balances out at this
maybe,
point. Oh,
maybe. I don't know.
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, anyway.
The realization.
Yikes.
Yeah.
But also, Catherine just kick him. What have been your experiences with high school ministry? How do you think that has helped you grow in your faith? That's a super big question. But like, what have been some of the biggest takeaways from like high school ministry and just life here at All Saints? If you have any thoughts on those. If you don't, that's okay. I'm gonna keep talking. So you're thinking that's okay.
I never was really involved with youth group or anything like that because like I went to St. Patrick for middle school, so like I had always heard of All Saints but like never considered it or anything like that. But we didn't have a big like youth ministry, and I know that something like the program is like it's changed a lot since I've left, but it was still like really hard to kind of imagine like going back and like see all these random like people from middle school and just like weird kind of vibe. So I never really got involved in anything. But, like, I kind of stayed involved, like, through my friends, through the Pines, things like that. But it wasn't until, like, recently when Nathan invited me to come to youth group that I had found, like, All Saints and, like, this group of people. And it's been really nice to, like, have a community of, like, like-minded individuals who kind of, like, you can share your faith with and you can grow spiritually. And, like, going to Steubenville, that was an amazing experience. And, like, being able, like, to have those opportunities through, like, Illuminate, that's been really awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think, as Catherine also just mentioned, she's already ahead of me, that you kind of bring a cool perspective based on, like, coming into the program later, I guess, like, whether you felt welcomed or not.
Oh,
that
yeah,
sort of thing.
100%.
Yeah.
From literally day one, everybody, like, the core team, Chelsea, everybody was super welcoming. As nervous as I was, it didn't push me away. Like, I was open to, like, meeting new people, and, like, I met people from Ursuline that were, like, going there with me that I didn't even know, like,
Right.
and all of that kind of stuff, and made a whole bunch of connections, and it was really great.
No, that's awesome. How about you guys? Any other kind of big takeaways, super far back view of things?
Far back view.
Or anything in particular?
Well, I actually mentioned how she felt a little bit nervous, like, before coming. But I think one of the really cool things is having been in this system, I guess, program, group, as long as I was, like, when I invite people to some things, I don't always feel 100% confident that, like, I can say they'll be super nice, like, you'll be welcome, like, it's no big deal. Like, there are places that I can't say that with 100% confidence. But this is not one of those places. This is like when I was telling Ashley, like, you have absolutely no reason to be nervous at all, because everybody there is going to be weirder than you.
So it's perfect.
Right? But yeah, no, this is a place that, like, I feel 100% comfortable saying, hey, like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's
awesome. I hadn't thought of it in that sense. Because I'm trying to think of, like, other times in my life when I've invited people to things. And sometimes it's worked out. Sometimes, like,
sometimes not so much.
Sometimes not so much.
Yeah,
And
it doesn't always go smoothly.
So I think that's a testament to Chelsea and how she and Paul were doing things and lots of things. That's pretty cool. Caroline, anything in particular?
Yeah, so I've been in youth group for like a very long time. And the retreats have been awesome, but I feel like I've gotten the most out of like small groups, especially in Illuminate. Like Catherine was asking why that's the best. It's small groups. Like just getting to pray over each other and talk to each other like about stuff that's going on and how we can bring our faith into that has been really helpful for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
I'm going to preempt Catherine's follow-up question here. Who's your favorite small group leader?
Definitely.
No comment.
You said that last time.
I did not.
Pretty sure.
I think it was someone else.
Was it somebody else?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
I think I just didn't talk.
That's
Okay, that could be.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, it's... Yeah. Sorry, we're just trying to follow along. Usually Paul and Chelsea do this part, so I don't ever...
Gotta monitor the chat stream.
Gotta figure this out, yeah. I feel like a gamer, like Twitch streamer. Like, yeah.
Twitch streamer.
Like, thanks, man, for joining the comments. Thanks for being a subscriber. Yeah.
Remember to like and subscribe. Hit that follow button.
Yeah. Smash that like button. So, you talked a little bit about Steubenville being an awesome experience. You've been this last time. You guys have been a couple other times as well. What was that? I ask as if I had no idea.
As if you weren't there.
As if I wasn't also there. But what was that like for you guys? How was that? I don't know, what were some of your favorite things from that? And
I don't know, it was just kind of a crazy experience. Like, I heard all the things about it, kind of like saw what was on the internet, and then when we were on the bus, Chelsea was like, leave all your expectations behind. Like, you don't know what like you're gonna experience here. And she was like, God has you here for a reason. And I like thought about it, and I was kind of processing that, but it didn't hit me until we were like walking out of the tunnel, and like we got into the room like in the arena, and it was just kind of like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And like seeing all the people there that are like also like Catholic and like worshiping together, that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. I hadn't been to one, just speaking with like this in the stadium before. I'd always been at, I think, Lone Star or even in Alexandria, where it's just a big open room, yeah. And then this one, the state, it's like, oh,
it's like,
just,
whoa.
it was wild, yeah. So I don't know, how about you guys? Any other kind of thoughts on how that's been helpful at this point or other times?
Yeah. So I've been to 2 Steubenville Lone Stars.
Okay.
I found those both like very different from Steubenville Southwest. Is that what we went?
Mid-America.
Mid-America?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, that one.
One or two.
The other
It's
one.
in Missouri, yeah.
The one in Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah. Wherever the bus went.
I don't know directions.
That's okay.
It's fine.
Beyond Tulsa.
So I found it very different, like, because Lone Star wasn't a big open space, and you walked in and there was the band going crazy and everybody running up to them and like dancing together. But we walk into the stadium and like they just have this massive light show going on, like while we're all like walking up the stairs. And we can't rush the stage like we did at Lone Star, but everyone was still like jamming out in their like stadium seats.
Yeah.
And then just getting to see how they adapted the like procession during adoration to being in a stadium, like going up and down all those stairs, like.
Yeah.
And
carrying
then,
a monstrance too.
That was insane.
Such arm strength.
Like all I could think of is like it's that one scene from like Kung Fu Panda where he gets up to the top and he's just like stairs. And he collapses on the ground. So many stairs.
Yeah.
I hate stairs. I hate sand, but
That too.
Yeah.
It's rough.
There's a lot of steps that he had to go up and down.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, I just imagine like Father Mike between like filming videos and doing mass and whatever else he does, like he's just working out.
He's like
he doesn't
benching
sleep.
like
He's
on
just
this
benching
mad
1,000
weight.
pounds.
Like,
On their stair stepping machine.
Yeah, doing curls with like
He's just, like,
monstrances.
I'm ready.
And, yeah, I don't.
He's prepping. He's got his like one hand holding like the Bible.
Yeah.
It's just like
Curls.
Reading is If you listen closely to the podcast, you can hear the weight machines.
Yes.
But yeah, that was really cool. I think
That was awesome.
I remember when Father Mike was going around, and some of the points when he was closer, 'cause he really went everywhere around the stadium, which was impressive. But I remember one point when he was closer, he would kind of here and there like pause for a moment, as if somebody who was particularly needing that moment, or I don't know how he chose that, but just watching his face, like he's very much like watching his step and watching the monstrance and making sure that everything's okay.
Yeah.
But he was also like looking around and just felt I don't know, that was a cool moment of like he's watching out for us and like he's trying to be that father figure.
Yeah.
But that was just a cool moment as well. But yeah, there were so many differences there, and I think that was a cool thing.
Yeah, and I think the thing that Steubenville has probably done the most for youth group as a whole is it has built community like a lot. Like we get a lot of new people to the youth group who come and start out at Steubenville. And you're like rooming with people, you're going to like a conference, getting 0 sleep with them, like everybody's just having awesome Jesus moments and going slowly insane like together.
Yeah.
And it's really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking of just like the friends that I had met that I'm closest with now that were from youth group. Where a lot of those first kind of moments we were actually friends was on Steubenville trips. That's awesome. How about you, Nathan? Any particular?
One major difference I think that I saw between going to Lone Star in the past and the one at Mid-America was there was a lot less interaction between parishes, I think.
Yeah.
And part of that comes with like doing like lunch, like doing meals and shifts. So you're not seeing all of the other parishes up close, and even when you're in the arena, you're kind of seeing this like general clump of people wearing the same shirt. Maybe that's just me in low light spaces kind of seeing things as like a giant clump of orange shirts all doing a synchronized dance. They weren't doing that dance because this is our dance, but yeah,
They were doing
what their thing was.
Oh yeah, everyone like something like knew that, and I was like, is this a Missouri thing? Now we know it too. So
I guess it's like a Missouri church club.
Yeah, they were doing that too, though. So I don't know. It's interesting how the culture spreads like that. Yeah, no, and I think that was one of the things that we would like. In our small groups, or also like on the bus, we were kind of trying to do some like processing on the drive back because it was so long. And people mentioned like it was so cool, especially for those who've been for the first time, like realizing that the church is so much bigger than just All Saints or even just the Diocese of Dallas. Like there's people all around the world that are trying to be holy and following the same faith and living the same kind of thing. I just think that's always really cool to see somebody for the first time kind of encounter that in that way. So. Yeah.
I've been corrected.
I saw that. I was going to mention that, yeah. Catherine said that the question you should have asked was, who is your favorite core team member, and why is it Catherine? So...
You asked that last time too, Catherine.
I mean, it is, yeah, she's consistent, so there you go.
But, she asks that every week?
No, but I think anytime we've had some of the teens on, it was just, I think it's not been a lot of times, but...
You just have to give your guests like a list of names, right, and then ask the question, like without meeting anybody. And why is it Catherine?
You just got to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, going back to we were talking about you guys going off to college, or going into your senior year. We actually leave for you just staying. How has that been? Has that affected your faith at all? I know, like going to St. Mary's is going to be awesome. Going to I forget if they have a name, but the Baylor Catholic Center and that sort of thing. Has that, do you think, impacted your faith? Has that, I don't know, one way or another? It's kind of a strange question, but what would you all say?
I think yes, because I was kind of in the mindset of like, I need to figure out where I'm at in my faith before I go off to college and kind of get sucked into like studying and dealing with friends and new people and all of that kind of stuff. And so I think in that way it has impacted me. And also like kind of thinking forward and like, how am I going to be able to go to church? Like, how am I going to get involved in like the Catholic Center and like those kinds of things? I think in that way it has.
Yeah, but that's awesome. Just like, yeah. Imagine.
Yeah, I think part of that was realizing how much of my faith was tied into this community, and then kind of panicking for a little bit about realizing that I'm not going to be here anymore. And so I guess it's just been kind of a slow shift to more of like a self-contained, not a self-contained thing, but sort of an introspective look at things to actually see, okay, like where am I? What are some goals that I can set? What are some things that I can improve on? Just sort of as myself as an individual, apart from any community or small group or anything. It's just like, okay, I need to be able to kind of take care of myself now.
Yeah.
At least temporarily until I can shift things into, pass that burden onto somebody else.
I'll find
spiritual
things.
Yeah. Spiritual direction. Knock, knock, knock.
Yeah. Well, and there's I know just so much more about St. Mary's. There's so many opportunities, so that will be good. And there's a lot of Bailey as well. You still get to be here, so so you get me. Good.
You can never leave.
You can never escape. No, actually, that's okay. But and I guess kind of turning this around the other way, how do you feel like y'all having finished high school now? Also, congrats on that. And just I didn't mention you went to Jesuit and you went to Ursuline and you were at Pierce still. So sorry, I'm just going to keep making that weirder than it has to. But how, having survived all or at least most of high school up to this point, which it's hard. How have you guys found that it's? What things have you guys been able to do or found successful in trying to live your faith, like as a high schooler, or bad stories of how not to do that? Like, what are some things that you feel like have been helpful, or might have been helpful for growing in your faith, particularly as a high schooler in these last couple of years?
Finding the right people and like surrounding yourself with like good friends who are like strong in your faith, and then also like just kind of like going out on your own and like making the effort to like stay connected to Christ, and like kind of putting aside the whole like I'm gonna be on social media thing, which like I'm going through TikTok a lot of the time, so I have my issues with that, but kind of going out on your own and like finding a community where you can like really share your faith. Like coming here for me, that's been a huge thing, like just the last semester, and like getting connected with my faith again. I think
that's awesome. Caroline, any thoughts on that?
Sure. So I've been in public school my whole life, which if you come to youth group, there's like a pretty even mix of people who are like Catholic school and get so much like formation theology like in school, and people who get like none of it.
Yeah.
But being in public school, showing up to all the like All Saints stuff for youth ministry, I've gone to the Pines Catholic camp like every summer for years. Just finding different places where you can be very like involved with groups that also care about your faith and that will help you develop it have been extremely important to me, because I don't get it that like many other places.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, you got to find where that place is. Yeah. Nathan, how about you? How did you survive?
I kind of found campus ministry and got involved with helping as like a grounds crew for one of the freshman retreats after, I think it was my sophomore year or something. And then from there I was like on the mailing list. And so I kept getting emails about, hey, sign up to be a retreat leader, sign up for junior Kairos, or sign up for this, that, or the other. And so I just kind of like kept doing that as like part of the team putting it on. And I really like doing that because you're kind of behind the scenes of the whole thing. And it's really cool to sometimes, like, it's one of my favorite things to do in like big places for adoration, like at Steubenville, is kind of like sit back for a little bit and kind of like look around the room and see everybody else and how they're reacting.
Yeah.
Just sort of facial expressions, and not to make anybody like self-conscious about how they
Right.
look in adoration, but it's really cool to see how peaceful most people are, and especially how different they look.
I thought during adoration that I was kneeling, and I thought there were some eyes in the back of my head just like staring at me, and that was you. Okay,
I guess it
now
was.
No, you're sure.
You were to the left.
Anyway.
So there's a lot of that. Senior year, I was a Kairos leader, so there's a few retreats. One that we went on to prepare, one that we put on for seniors, and another one that we put on for rising seniors who would be next year's retreat leaders. And so that was kind of the key for me, is because a lot of times the people who you find on those retreats are also like on the leadership council, because you don't really see who else replies to the email. But when you show up to the planning meeting, it's like you see some people that maybe you don't always interact with, and you had no idea that they were also interested in or rooted in their faith and willing to go and put in all this work to put on some form of a retreat. And I'm really almost kind of saddened that I didn't interact with those people for like the entirety of my 4 years.
Right.
Because I think that would have been really cool to know that about these people, to know the stories that they share in their talks and in their small groups. But yeah, so if there's campus ministry, then get campus ministry.
Yeah. Get ministry.
Get ministry.
All lecture is ministry. No, yeah, I think that's a great point too. Like in some form or fashion, like teaching the faith is one of the best ways to learn the faith. Or like being involved with ministering to others is one of the greatest ways, I think, to. After, of course, you can't just totally start from nothing and then suddenly be in charge of that. But like after some amount of formation, like going and turning around and giving back to others that are kind of coming along the same path. I think that's for me at least, that's been one of the biggest kind of motivators in my faith life, or like realizations of how little I know, or how holy I could be, but am not. And so I remember so I was in seminary for the 3 years, and the very first summer I was like still 19, and I was at a parish in Corsicana, and they put me in charge of a couple of things throughout the summer, which was great, because that's what they're supposed to do. I remember thinking, like, I'm like teaching like a baptism class for a bunch of the parents. It's like, y'all are literally about to have like children and be in charge of small people, like by yourselves.
Screaming humans.
And yeah, exactly. It's like I am 19 and probably more like the children than you, honestly. But even in those cases, just getting the chance to realize like not only what God could do through me, but like what God is already doing in other people. Like you said, looking around the room and seeing like what else is happening, or with the retreat, other leaders, like what has He done in their lives as much as in mine. I think that's a really awesome opportunity. And I love what you said too, Caroline, of like, well, I think you guys both touched on this, of just like you need to find the people that are going to make you better. You need to find the place where that's going to happen. I remember also one summer, I was in high school. Everything exciting happens in the summer. I don't do anything the rest of the year. But I was going to a band camp actually, and I was placed in like the top group of the kind of, for the large groups, they would split into a couple of groups. And I was like, I am not as good as any of these guys. And I remember one of the teachers, one of the directors said, like, that's the best place to be. It's like, if you're the worst player in the room, like, you're going to learn the most. And so whether or not, it's not like if you're the least holy person in the room. I don't know if it entirely transfers over, but there's something to like find the people that are doing what you want to be doing and living how you want to be living. I think that's really cool. And I'm glad that youth ministry has been an opportunity for you guys to find that. That just for me, that's reassuring. But also, I'm excited that that's been good for you guys as well. Yeah, we did have.
You had a follow-up.
Okay, that's a good question. So, you guys went to Jesuit in Ursuline, which is different but the same. And you went through to All Saints before that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to a Catholic school?
I went to St. Patrick.
St. Patrick, okay. Caroline, you went all the way through public school. I went all the way through public school until UD. But Caroline has a question, which I think is a good question. Kind of starting with you, but we can come back to it. She asked, I'll read it because it's good. How did you get so well-formed / informed without going to Catholic school, in parentheses? Because, homegirl, you basically know more than me already. So, how would you say that's, obviously, you can't have both perspectives, but from your perspective, how has that been, how did you grow in your faith in a way that wasn't happening in Catholic school that you did separately?
Yeah, so my older sister was in youth group, like, before I was able to, and I, like, look up to her a lot. So I was like, I'm gonna do that. And that was when y'all started junior high ministry, like, for, like, junior high Bible study. So I know I started getting involved in, like, Breakfast of Champions and Bible study when I was going into 6th grade, I think. So I was in junior high ministry for, like, 2 years, and then I was confirmed early, like, with y'all's grade. So I've been in high school ministry for 4 years now. This is going to be my 5th year. So it's just, like, coming every Sunday, every Wednesday during the school year, and then, like, to some of the summer activities, talking to the core team being really involved in like small group and those friendships I've made there. And then like being inspired by some of the stuff we've learned in youth group or like at the Pines, which has been so big for me, to like go home and start doing like other stuff involved in the faith.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess kind of the other side of that, just split up so I can do that. Having been in Catholic school for most of your life, just how do you think that has been helpful for you in your faith? And then I guess I'll have follow up to that. But how do you think that Catholic school has been actually helpful at this point, looking back? In what ways do you think that was helpful for you growing in your faith?
I think it always made like everything very present. Like we always had theology class, like we always went to mass, especially at St. Patrick. Like twice a week we would go to mass. But I feel like at a certain point it reached like going through the motions, and then it just kind of became repetitive for me. So it made it, I feel like, a lot harder to kind of grow individually in my faith because of that. But I think it also taught me a lot, and it helped me like meet a lot of people who think the same and who like are Catholic. And it also showed me like the opposite, like people that like went to my school, like went to Ursuline or went to St. Patrick that weren't Catholic, that had like a totally different perspective on all of this and like didn't hear about it ever, like when they were kids or those kinds of things. And I thought that it just kind of showed me like a lot of different ways to think about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Nathan, would you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I think a lot of, when I go back and think about theology classes or religion classes back in like elementary and middle school, the biggest thing I think that we really talked about that I still hold like fairly meaningful, that wasn't an elementary knowledge of sacraments or anything like that. I remember this little thing where we had like sacraments and like their description, you had to like draw lines and match them up. There was a little activity in the booklet. We always had these booklets. But like I think church history is kind of the main thing that I took away, at least. There's a big portion on that in one of the classes I took at Jesuit. That was, it almost like put all the puzzle pieces together of all the things that we kind of read about in various grades and books, like in middle school, and talked about it a little bit, but never really like, I don't think those puzzle pieces ever fit together for me back then. And maybe that's just being older and going over the same material. I don't know what it was. But it was really kind of cool to see on a little bit more big picture side of things, how it all kind of fits together with, papal succession and all this other stuff. Yeah. These big words and, all these Latin documents and fancy things. Yeah,
I think I just thinking through my own, like going to UD and going through having formal theology classes, because I never really had, other than faith formation, which was good. But I think you were presented with this like body of information as a kid, and then
it's
actually
just like facts.
Right. It's like, here's this system. That's cool. That's the faith. But also, like, where did any of it come from? Right. And then you look at the councils and you look at all that stuff. So I think that's an interesting intellectual point too. Because I definitely know people that have been in Catholic school or some sort of private school or classical school or whatever, and then folks that have never had that experience, and it's interesting to see just the way that differs, but that you guys are all able to grow in your faith. And if you're not at Catholic school, you find the opportunities to do those things. If you are, then you still do the same. So I guess the follow-up, well, actually, first, can you tell us, just because in case we don't know at home, words is hard.
English is a class too.
English is a class too. I know I took it, but sorry, Christina.
Sometimes I wonder.
How would you? What is the Pines? Just for those who don't know, unless you've been there most recently. But
okay. So it's a summer camp, but it's very rooted in the Catholic faith. So for, I think like 7 years, I went for 1 week each summer, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's enough to be like life-changing each time, because you go, they have mass like twice a week, they'll have adoration, which it was my first adoration experience was at the Pines, and they're like outdoor cathedral. You talk with your cabin every night, like about like your God sightings when you're little, or like your experiences in adoration and throughout the week. And you just grow in your faith together. And this year I actually got to go several weeks ago and be a counselor in training.
Nice.
So I was there for the first week, just growing in faith and learning how to like trust God in like ministry through that first week. And then the second week we were paired with like little kids cabins that we stayed with all the time, and just had to like, I had a bunch of like 7-year-old girls, so they weren't like super big on the like, this is where I'm going in my faith and where I'm at. Like, it's a summer camp.
Yeah.
But you could still talk to them and have those like small discussions. Like, I remember talking to one girl after like their first adoration, and she just had like the biggest smile on her face, and like I saw like several of my like little girls just like crying in the front row like when they were at adoration. I was like, oh, they're like seeing Jesus, like they're experiencing our faith. They're getting like that starting off point I had like all those years ago.
Yeah.
So that place has just been so great for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's the Pines.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
And yeah.
Go trees.
Go trees.
Go trees.
Thank you. Thank you, Catherine.
Of course, with the little pine tree.
I don't know how to make that with my hands.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I tried, Catherine. I'm sorry.
And we also go there for fall retreats with this youth group.
Yeah, I had never been. I still have never been in the summer, but so many retreats, confirmation retreats or fall retreats, whatever it was. That's like just being on site there. It's like yes, like here, like
It's
I'm
the
back.
Pine.
This is the
Yeah.
Pine.
Yeah.
It's like I'm ready to. For God to punch me in the heart or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, sometimes it happens. But no, that's very cool. Another question that was coming through was, and maybe this can be kind of our work this in towards the end, was sort of how can you evangelize at school, but also talked about going back, like inviting Ashley to coming to youth group stuff. How, for someone who has never done that, how would you encourage them to do that sort of thing? And also just like how, otherwise from that, would you evangelize in school? Again, either have you or you would wish you had, or I don't know, whatever it might be. Is that?
Yeah, I think evangelizing at school it's an interesting question, because a lot of times you don't like. A lot of people say that like when you're little, like your job is to be a student, almost.
Yeah.
And like even when you're like online, like applying for things, it's like, what's your occupation? You just click student.
Right.
And so I noticed it at Jesuit, especially some of the people who went there, some of my classmates who weren't necessarily Catholic, who didn't necessarily grow up Catholic, but were super focused on academics. There'd be times when like they're just super hyper focused on studying for this next thing, or sometimes like if they weren't Catholic, almost treating theology as kind of a blow-off class because it didn't mean anything, right? To them at least, which was kind of strange. Or sometimes like prayer services on Fridays. I'm not going to name any names, but I know of people who would like go to the restroom and they'd be in there like studying vocab for their English test. So it's an interesting way to. No, not an interesting way, but like evangelism is an interesting question there because it's hard to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't want to have a conversation. And so I think the most important thing, even with like inviting somebody back to youth group, or you have to make sure it's the right person in the right time first. Otherwise, it kind of goes right by without being meaningful.
Yeah.
And even worse, like I have a friend who like was invited one time to go and it didn't end up working out, and he used that as an excuse not to go to other things. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of right time, right place situations, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think even just still like the word evangelization, there's still that image of like going door to door, like handing out Bibles in the hallway,
Riding a
I
bike
don't know,
around,
yeah,
and
yeah.
kinda-
I mean, maybe that's the case. I don't know, but yeah, there's other ways into that conversation and other ways that you can just show that. So I think that's pretty cool. You have anything things to add to that?
I think that's a really good point. Right time, right place. I think also a big way is just like the way you act towards people and like just the way you treat people. Like they'll know you're Christians by your love, like that kind of thing. And also like just like small tidbits here and there, like if your friend is struggling or something, like, hey, like God is here for you, like those kinds of things. Like being open to that, but also like getting involved and like kind of trying to like, I guess, reach out in the community. Like you were talking about retreats. I did a retreat my junior year, and I was a retreat leader for the freshmen, and that was like a crazy experience. And I was able to like talk to my small group about God, and like that was such a cool like thing to do. Like you were talking about how you can grow in your faith by teaching people, and I think that kind of like getting involved in like those kinds of things, that's a huge way to reach people.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. Caroline, anything that?
I feel like the biggest one for me has been the people I know who I feel like would be interested in coming to like church or youth group, or the people who used to came and all stopped coming. I find is the like majority of Catholics at Pierce. So just if I know them well enough to reach out to them, like reaching out and be like, hey, we have this event coming up, we have this going on, I'll go with you, like just trying to do what I can to maybe like bring them back. But I don't know how else to approach it for like people who I don't know are like Catholic or Christian or involved or anything.
Yeah, like I said, it's not always like just going up to some kid in the hallway like, hey, have you heard about Jesus? Like, okay, maybe, but probably not. Probably not your best bet effectively, or also like they're gonna just freak out. There's a lot to it, and I think it does come down to, this is I know Bishop Barron's big thing of like evangelizing through beauty, of like, living your faith. They'll know you're Christians by your love. Like, if somebody can tell that there's a joy about you, that there's a sincerity with your faith, like that stuff kind of shines through, whether whether you're actually saying anything or not. I think that's pretty cool. And you guys definitely, as far as I see, you guys definitely do that, and I appreciate that, just from my perspective. Were you about to add something?
Well, yeah. Hey, it was an interesting thing. Because you said something about like, hey, do you know about Jesus?
Yeah.
Right. And I think in a lot of places people do. The issue is you're not dealing with somebody who doesn't know anything about Jesus. You're dealing with somebody who has sometimes already dismissed or already made peace with the idea that like Jesus exists. I'm just gonna do my own little thing.
Right.
For whatever reason. It seems like everybody has their like one reason. Who isn't a part of the church or who has left the church to not be. And so that's another task, is especially if you have a close friend, trying to have that conversation about essentially why they're wrong, but
sure.
Right.
But again,
there's a whole book over here of answers to all these questions. Like, how can you still be Catholic when there's all these different things, right?
Yeah.
And it actually has like a little index. Actually, I took a picture of the ISBN last time I was here. I picked it up. I've started reading through it just because I wanted to. It's like a 3-page little answer to all these different questions.
Yeah.
But that's just a tricky situation, because even if you win the debate, you win the argument, like, you've still lost because now your friend's mad at you. Right.
So
or doesn't think of you the same way. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there's entire apostolates that have kind of been formed around, I mean, like the Neo-Catechumen way. Their whole thing is like, they're, especially up in the Northeast and in lots of places in Europe, it's like baptized pagans. The idea is like, you're Catholic, but you never, you've fallen away, or you never were taught anything, and that kind of thing. It's like, you've met Jesus, at least in name. Like, how do we move from there? Like, let's actually get to know him. Or how does it move from like knowing about Jesus to actually knowing Jesus? So I think that's pretty cool.
Also, approaching that conversation, it's like you can't argue anybody into the faith,
right?
Because like that's probably not going to work out,
right?
But also finding the time to like approach it, like, in the way to do it. It's not like, I don't know, like randomly going up to someone and being like, like what you were saying. It's all kind of like right time, right place thing again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a natural kind of way to do it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, for sure. Speaking of, no, I don't know. Hurry up. Speaking of hurry up and wait of time, there's a timer for the lightning round. So
the lightning round.
I'm gonna. Because cheetahs are fast.
It's a bunch of lightning bolts, and it's just like cheetah.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, I don't know if you can hear it now or if you've seen it, but it's Allie Hoffman and Katie Smith. From one of the times that Chelsea did this from home, they like made up a little lightning round theme song.
Okay.
And it's really strange. So that's going on with like a clock ticking. And anyway,
Yeah, no, it's been a while.
it's a little creepy actually. There's not a whole lot of
Context.
But yeah, I'm gonna work on that. So
Music video.
yeah. Oh gosh. Honestly, kind of not. So the timer has still been giving me problems, but we, at least allegedly, have one. There we go.
That's
Oh wow, that's
a long time.
That is a long time.
That's a really long time.
Yikes! Come on, thing.
You know, do the thing.
Do the thing.
Oh, you're almost there.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what you're doing actually. I
Actually,
can't
that's
say.
okay. I appreciate the support either way. I'm trying to hit the settings thing. I can't see it. Obviously,
right there.
I
Yes,
thought
you got
about
it.
this a whole lot. Definitely did. You know, this is different than I thought. I'm just gonna.
Looks like we're out of time. Your time is up.
That's okay. I'm gonna do it on my phone. Scared of that. But so for the lightning round, we ask a couple of questions. The idea is to go really fast. We tend to get on tangents, which makes it even more fun. But that's okay.
Speed.
Speed. I
I
am speed.
am speed.
So I'm gonna start this, and I have my list of questions here. It's okay. You can. Yeah, I'll just hang that a little
There we
bit.
go. Okay. I don't want to like see the question too soon. So
Oh, yeah.
It's the lightning round. Okay?
That's right, yeah. So, there you are. Let's move this closer. So we'll go in, let's see, let's actually start with Caroline, then Ashley, then Nathan, then me. And it's mostly would you rather questions or like preference of things. So
Okay.
we'll see how that goes. And then put the timer up here. And here we go. All right. Would you rather be 4 feet tall or 8 feet tall?
4 feet tall.
Nice. Good.
4 feet tall.
Okay.
I'd say 4 feet, but nothing would change, so I'm going to go with 8 feet.
Yikes. You know?
It'd be nice to duck under a doorway for.
That's true. You wouldn't have to. Yeah. So I don't know. But, yeah, I'll go with 8 feet too. 8'2". Also, not 8'2". Anyway, okay.
Because that wasn't the answer. That wasn't the that wasn't the option.
Especially now that Paul's not here. Batman or Superman?
Never seen a DC movie, except for Wonder Woman.
So.
So you haven't seen this.
So Batman.
Nice.
Okay.
Batman.
I get to go Batman.
Nice.
Engineering nerd in me just says gadgets.
Yeah. Yes.
Also, my dog's name's Alfred, so.
Dude, nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or 20 duck-sized horses?
Duck-sized horses.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with duck-sized horses.
Is it like a duck or is it a rubber duck?
Wait, that's solid.
That's a
solid
I mean, I don't know that rubber ducks can fight.
Exactly.
So, in that case.
In that case.
But if they were real, then.
That could be a problem.
Yeah.
Well, I was also thinking like a rubber duck-sized horse.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I think
That's
it's like a real duck,
teeny
which is
tiny.
like yeah.
Yeah.
Rubber duck.
I don't
They
know.
make rubber ducks
And
this
just
big,
like
though.
horses like to like nibble. So I feel like if you had really small horses, it'd be like little mosquito bites.
Ooh, yeah.
Except it'd be like a little, like it'd be like somebody who's just like pinching you constantly.
Yeah.
Which could kind of
Could be
hurt.
a problem,
It could
yeah.
be annoying, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe not.
Maybe not. Okay.
So we'll go with the horse-sized duck
We'll go with the horse-sized duck.
this time. I mean, it would still be a problem. Like,
It would definitely be a problem.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can outrun a horse.
That's
It has a big stride. you
Very
know?
true.
Like they can waddle pretty fast when they're little.
That's just, yeah.
Imagine
Waddle
if
even
they're
faster
bigger.
when it's oh gosh, that's terrifying.
Can also fly.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Even better.
Definitely terrifying. Also, would you rather go a year? Is that who it was? Would you rather go a year with no eyebrows or no eyelashes?
No eyebrows. Easier to draw on.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go with, that's a solid point. I'm gonna go with eyebrows.
I feel my I want to say eyelashes, but I feel like they're actually important. I just don't know what they do, so I don't want to find out.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to keep stuff out of your eyes, but mine mostly
They do a
just
very
in my
bad
eyes.
job.
So, I mean, yeah, so I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna eyelashes. So I know at least you guys are you a Star Wars fan at all?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, good, even better. I have 2 Star Wars themed questions, and just because he's here, you don't have to answer this. But Baby Yoda or OG Yoda? That's the whole question.
Oh, yikes.
I know his name is Grogu, but
Grogu.
we'll go with just for comparison.
Probably OG.
Nice.
I'm gonna go with OG.
I gotta go with Baby Yoda. Yeah. He's right there.
That's true. Yeah, while he's here, it's harder to say no, but that's
But
true.
OG Yoda's back.
That's true. We do have a little. I don't think it's a bobblehead. That's the one I broke the ear off of.
Oh, tough.
We have Wounded Yoda.
Yeah, I'll go with OG Wounded Yoda. All right. Other Star Wars question: would you rather have a lightsaber or every other Jedi power?
Every other Jedi power.
Every other Jedi power. Definitely.
We already have a lightsaber, so.
Yeah, this is true. I did acquire a lightsaber.
Disney, but yeah, probably every other Jedi thing.
Yeah. Especially now that I say it out loud. Like, yeah, that there's so many other things.
Mind trick thing.
Yeah, like using the Force and
all
stuff.
of those. Yeah.
And I know
That's
we're
pretty
like
cool.
canceling the new movies, but if you pretend we're not for a second, they have like the force healing, and then like the like
Animal.
True.
they like doubled, like made a duplicate of themselves.
Yeah,
like,
by location.
I know, but it's cool powers.
It's cool,
too.
yeah.
It is. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
Shatterpoint thing was good. Okay.
It could help with evangelization too.
That's true.
You will come to mass
You have
on
heard of
Sunday.
Jesus. Oh my god. Okay, 2 more questions. Would you?
This is not the excuse you were looking for.
This is the Lord you're looking for.
Oh my gosh. Come back to that. Okay, would you rather have 5 half-sized clones of yourself or 1 full-sized clone of yourself?
One full size.
Like,
Yes.
or like half of you, like
no, like
half.
torso, or
like full person,
or
but
like
just
just
proportions.
shrunk.
Scale.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I guess just like
Just
just
like-
legs. Well, if you want, yeah, I guess.
If it's just that, then you do like half are like uppers and half are lowers, but you have like 1 left over. So what do you do with the leftover? Because you could like stack on top. You could make a full size, right? You could make 2 full size if you had 2.
That last one is just
the last one's
mini.
just the
Yeah.
mini. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Then in that case, yeah.
Full size, because
Okay.
then they can like stand in for stuff.
Yeah, full size.
Everybody knows full size candy bars are better. So you just
Yeah, I'll go full size.
Yeah.
All right, and the last question. Oh no, where did I go? I was going to do that one. That's fine. Would you? Okay, not quite as exciting, but would you rather hit every red light ever for the rest of your life, or lose internet connection anytime the sun goes down?
Lose internet connection anytime the sun goes down. Worst case scenario, I go to Alaska.
Okay, there you go. For a while, I just never said.
Just
okay.
for the
I mean-
summers, and then I like
I
move
mean-
back here for the winters.
Yeah,
Like you just
go to Argentina if you want. And just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
balance it. Okay.
It's not that.
Travel.
Yeah. Yeah, easier travel.
I'm gonna go with internet. The internet, yeah. I can't handle red lights.
Yeah.
That's
No.
Zoom.
I was just sit there and I'm like, there's no way that these are the same length.
No, yeah.
Like
No,
there's just
no.
way more people going across
Yeah.
than like come with me when I go through. Like I don't know. I don't know. But just
I would go with internet. There's got to be somebody in like a building in downtown Dallas, like watching all these cameras, who's like, I'm going to stop this guy in particular.
no. Yeah.
It's like, it's just like, I don't know what I did to you,
like,
other
I
guy,
just-
but I'm sorry. Please stop.
I just found this out. Apparently,
That's it.
there's like the little things that look like cameras on them. Sometimes they actually like pick up like some sort of light or infrared thing from police cars.
Mhm.
So the police car is coming, it'll like change the lights so like it can go through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't
Somebody
know.
told me once there was like regular lights, like I would always flash my brights, and sometimes it would line up, but it's
Oh,
actually
yeah,
like an
I did,
infrared
like-
thing, so it doesn't
Yeah,
work
it's like
out.
a certain distance and an angle. Yeah, and
It
it just
just
Like try to
okay.
turn an ambulance and like flashing your lights, like please turn.
Jeez. Hey, maybe just buy an ambulance. And
Yeah,
there's
there
it.
you go.
tiny home. I'm very
honestly,
though. Who's going to tell you to move? You can park wherever you want.
That's true. Oh, jeez. Don't steal an ambulance. Also, thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. Best of luck with college. I'm going to see you guys before then, but they might not. So best of luck with all of that. I'll see you at some point in the future.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for joining us, for sharing all of the things. I hope that was a good chance for everyone to hear kind of your perspective on some things. So why don't we close in a prayer? Anybody want? I'm going to do the youth minister question that everyone's going to like panic. Anybody want to close us in prayer? It's only right to just totally like no. I'll go ahead.
Wow.
Just cry. No, don't cry. We'll pray. Anyway, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty God, we thank you for this chance to be together. We thank you for all those who are with us here and for all those who are with us virtually. I ask that you would bless these teens or young adults now as they continue on in their lives and in their faith journeys and into whatever it is that's up next in their lives. Help us all to live holy, to be the saints that you want us to be, and always be your light in the world. We ask all this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Awesome. Thank you all for joining us. So the camera there. Thank you all for joining us. And come back next week. We will have something that I have not determined yet, but we will have a thing. So
Plans.
Yay, plans. Good. Okay, bye. See you later.